Okay, I will give you now a lecture on walking the wall. And this is a method that you will be using in Project 3. We will also cover low-fi prototyping. Hi, welcome. And now we are going through chapters 10 and 13 from the book. So, and you will be doing both of this in Project 3. So we are starting now preparing for Project 3. I've showed you this double diamond many times, but I want you to sort of always, this is like our ground theory. So I think it's nice to come back to it again and again and sort of look at where are we now. We have been covering who's involved by using the user groups and the personas. You have been understanding people's daily experiences. This was done in the contextual interviews. And also if you did interviews, there you also do an understanding of causal influences, and maybe we would also do that in the story mapping that you did yesterday, and identify themes in the affinity diagram. So we have really covered the first diamond. And now we have like a clear opportunity or brief on which to base the ideas. And from now on, you will be doing prototyping and opening up the next diamond. And it starts by walking the wall. There you start to get design ideas. And hopefully there will be many design ideas of how to approach this need of the users. So definitely, I think we are there in the second red dot there in the middle now, right now. And you can see these descriptions. So you have the basic principles, and there is like a clear vision now, and you will base the new ideas on that. And this is all, all this preparation work is for you to be able to do better designs in the prototyping. So the next step will be to develop ideas. And then you're working in teams, so it is really important to bring together the right teams to tackle this design work. And it's good to begin with a pencil and paper, and then iterate and work on doing field trials by testing the ideas with users. So you will also do that. The more comprehensive testing will be in Project 4, but I haven't really decided if you are doing some testing or not in Project 3. We will see. Okay, so walk the wall. I call it gagnaganga in Icelandic. It's a totally different name. Well, walking or data walk, I call it in Icelandic. It is a process of the teams. You have the affinity diagram up on the wall, and there is a team coming there, preferably people outside the group. So now you try to, because now you're so much involved in your project, you know so much, you have done the interviews and so on, it's good to get somebody with fresh ideas. So the next group assignment will be that you work together doing the walking the wall. So you will walk the wall for another group, and another group will come to you. Similar to what you did when you were evaluating the visions. Okay, so it is a process of stepping back and systematically thinking about the data that you got from the interviews. So this builds up from the interviews. And you will you will talk together, and then the team will get a shared understanding. Okay, so here are pictures of students. This was many years ago. I think this was in, I don't know, 2004, 5, 6, something. And so in the first picture, they have the affinity diagram divided on papers of A4, and they have the user profile there. This is me on the picture there, and they have some only small data or something about the user that they thought about. And then they have the personas there to the right. And these guys are reading through the affinity diagram, and after they had done that, they had written down some design ideas that they got while they read the data from the interviews, and they wrote it on the sticky notes. So this is like the output of the data walk here to the right. So what do you have to do to be able to walk the wall? You first have to prepare the data in the room, and then gather the people. And when you're doing the walking the wall, you introduce first the affinity diagram to the visitors and the project. What are you going to design? And you have to do that for the group that is visiting you for the group assignment next week. You have to tell them we are now designing an app or a website or something for this group of people with these special needs. And we interviewed 3 or 4 people, and this is our affinity diagram. They understand quite well the process because they have done it themselves, but they don't know what you are designing. Okay, and then you introduce how this process will be processed, and then the actual walk of the affinity starts. And in the end, you have a list of issues and hot ideas from the affinity diagram. So let's look at how you do each of this. This is directly from the book. The book is very practical in telling you how to use these methods that I'm teaching you. But I have many of the processes on the slides. So first of all, you prepare. So you take the data. So you hang your affinity diagram on the wall. So you have to have a space reasonable and have the labels legible. Like people have to be able to read it. And we have done this during class before, and it has always been very exciting and nice to see, and the students really thought that they got a lot of information out of it. You could also hang your personas beside, like they did on the photo there. And they say there that the persona should be in flip chart size. I don't really demand that, but it's nice to have the persona so people can really understand your user groups. And you could display relevant examples of artifacts. If you have found in your contextual interviews that people are using something, some things that you are trying to maybe get rid of, or something, help them not having to use them all the time or something, you could have a photo of that maybe. And it's also good to have the user group description. Like I've told you before, the authors of the book, they are very focused on that you are doing some software for an organization. So they say that you should also then display an organizational profile. In your case, this is maybe not the case, because maybe you're just designing for people using in the free time or something. So this would maybe be more than the user group description. Okay, and I will bring flipchart seeds to the problem-solving class. Then, if you were doing this in the industry, you should invite people, stakeholders, and other interested parties to become familiar with your data. This is an opportunity. Let's say you were designing a website for software developers. You want to help them. You want to do something that they, maybe support them in doing user testing or something. You would like to do a website for them. You are a team in a company, but you would then invite some software developers to come, or people paying for this. This could also be, if you're working for a company, this could be the people that are paying for the software. So this can be a nice way of communicating your ideas. So this could be others in the software company, maybe a bigger team than your core team, maybe a team that is sitting beside you or something. And they say it should take 2 to 3 hours. This we will not take 2 or 3 hours in the problem-solving session. We will only take this 1.5 hours. And it has been enough, because the affinity diagrams are not that big that you are doing, because you're doing this for the first time and you only had 3 or 4 interviews. But if we would have 6 or 8 interviews and a big affinity diagram, this could take 2 or 3 hours. And then all the team members should also walk the wall, even if they selected or built it. So this is a process for stepping back. And we use post-it notes, both in the affinity diagram and also for the design ideas that you get from walking the wall. And post-it notes are very popular in the software industry, on the Scrum boards and in various group work. Okay, so the second one, how do we approach this method of walking the wall? First, we prepare visitors, or we give an introduction. So we tell them about the project scope, the goal, and we tell them about how many users were interviewed for making the affinity diagram. So we explain where the data came from, and a little story maybe of 1 or 2 users. So you could give them like a scenario of something that you thought were really the core information, something that gave you a a aha moment, like, okay, it's this way. You could share this with them. And then explain how the affinity diagram was built. In the problem solving section, you don't have to do that because they should know, the other group. But if you would get an outsider customer that doesn't know how an affinity diagram is built, you could tell them. Okay, and you should have yellow Post-it notes and green and blue pens. And what you should do is to point to the visitors to the sections of the wall in which they will be most interested. So if you know you have this person here and he has a special interest in this area of the product, you could ask them to begin there. Okay, the next one. How is the process? This is a preparation for design, as I told you. And this is similar to going to an art museum. This is a silent thing. So you read and you think and you generate ideas, and everybody taking part in this should do that. So you read from the top to the bottom, and you should read the whole thing. So you read the yellow labels also. You could read the green one, pink one, blue one, and then all the yellow ones. And if you get a design idea, you should write it down. And this is actually, the purpose is to get design ideas from the interviews, from the data from the interviews. So you're really letting the interview data drive you. So not really thinking, wouldn't it be cool if I could do this and this and use this technology and so on. If they don't need it, if you can see in the interviews that this would really support them, this wouldn't be necessary. So try to think about solving some problems or helping the people from the data. That is the whole thing. You could also see some holes in the data, maybe something like, but how did they do that? And why do they have this need and so on? So you should also write these questions because this could be an information for the next round of contextual interviews, or maybe user testing or something. Okay, what is a design idea? Let's define that. Because you're supposed to write design ideas on the Post-it notes. So what is that? It could be any possible response to the data. So it could be about technology, a feature, piece of functionality, maybe documentation, maybe some help is needed. So it can be very broad, either really specific or very general. But it should always be grounded in the data. That's the main thing. Yes, right. So the thing is that you do this silently. Here are two students doing this, and you preferably get an outsider, not the team itself. You get some outsiders to do this also, and they read through it. And while they're reading, they think about how can we help them. So they make these. Here they made a bunch of design ideas that came out of the affinity diagram. This affinity diagram wasn't that big. But if you have like an affinity diagram from 6 to 8 people, you would get more design ideas. Yeah. Okay. So you read from the top down. So you begin on the top and then drill down. And your main output are the design ideas, the yellow notes with the design ideas. And you try to cover, read through all the affinity diagram and cover the whole area of the wall. And they can be, the authors of the book can be very pragmatical sometimes. So they say, okay, you should use a yellow note, you should use a blue pen. I don't know if that is necessary, but sometimes when you are really learning something, it could be good to just have these very precise guidelines. But you should put your initials on it, and that is because then you can discuss later with this person what was actually your idea, and you stick the idea on the wall where it belongs. So near the affinity note, which really inspired you. You should also look for holes in the data, like we said, something that you can't understand or you think is missing. And you go around in the room at least once until you get back to where you started. And if you have like 6-8 people, you could ask them to begin in various, one person can start in the right and then go to the left, and one in the middle and one to the left or something. So many people can be reading the same affinity diagram in parallel. So this is what they say. Go around in the room at least once, reading silently until you get back to where you started. Okay? So if I started here, I have to read it. And if you have time, it would be good to walk the affinity again. And this is a flow of ideas. So all ideas would come out. Afterwards, you will evaluate how good they are. Because sometimes a silly idea can, inspire you in getting a very good one. So everybody walks simultaneously. Everybody are active that are asked to come, and they read silently. And if you made a particular part of the diagram, you shouldn't start there. So you are actually asking yourself when you read that the affinity diagram, what does this part of the wall tell me about the design? What more do I need to know? This is about the holes. Are the holes in the data? And you ignore the design ideas of others. You just try to get your own. And the task is to keep the group on task and quiet. And then when you have walked the whole wall or the group, you should list the key issues and hot ideas. So you could, the key issue are the most central aspects of the work practice and the key user issues. So actually, key issues are the ones that you think are really important for solving, helping people with. So these are more like the problems that the users have. And then the hot ideas are ideas that are very important and good for helping top users. So these are big design ideas. Hot design ideas are big design ideas. that you can imagine driving a story of the customer's new work practice. So in the end, you should make this list. What are the key issues and what are the key design ideas? So this was the walking the wall. Do you have any questions about that? No. Okay, I will then continue with the presentation on low fidelity prototyping and sketching. There's also a chapter in the book about this. It's chapter 13. You know, many of the slides are from the book. So low fidelity prototypes are usually paper-based. We could also do it in a sketching tool, like Balsamic is very popular. And it really looks like you're drawing on a paper. It is like imitating how you would have this on paper. So it is quite rough in its sense. It's not decisions there that you don't have to do in the tool. And you can test with users the paper prototypes. So when comments come from users, you can change the structure of the system. Okay, so this photo here to the right, it is from the book. The one to the left is from a course where I asked them to do a paper prototype with Post-its. And you can see they have the login up there. They have the links to the left. They have like a middle area and then some maybe announcements or something. And the other one, it's more complex and you could then shuffle and so on. And probably the pink one there is like a pop-up. It's a calendar that pops up. The feature in doing it on paper is that you can write and you can scratch on it and you can let ideas flow, like here in the button here. And here are more examples. You can see people they have been evaluating or discussing and just writing down comments on the paper. I also like this one because here people tried to put it in context. So they were developing something for a phone. This is some years ago. So this was a nice phone at that time. Or a GSM. And they were trying to, you know, see how it would be in this. So they just printed out a figure of a GSM, and then they were putting Post-it notes in this box there. And this group, they made this like a frame, and then they were putting information in the middle there. So they always had the same frame, but they just put a white paper here in the middle. Yeah, this one, this was also on paper. This was in this course when I taught it in 2002 or 3. And this group, they wanted to see how long they would really have the patience to be on paper. So this was the second or third prototype. And they were doing, this was a system for getting information for tourists or something. And they wanted to do like a more detailed design on paper and see the advantages of that. It was a lot of work for them to do Iceland like the really correct way and so on, but they enjoyed it. They enjoyed this experiment. But usually it's not that detailed as this to the left. They were really forcing themselves. This is like more common, that it's sketched like this. This is, and sometimes you can do like a cartoon. This is actually called the storyboard, where you have like the history of how the users will use it. We talked about that you could use tools. These are figures from Balsamic. The one to the left is the one from the Student Loan Fund. I was a consultant for them for some years ago, and I've told you about that. So this is, and there I took, like their logo, I could put it in, I could take some logos from their website, and then I could sort of say, okay, this area will be only for people paying. And that's, this will be common questions here, and here will be important messages. So I'm just saying, we will use this area of the website for this information. Yeah, okay. What about software that is not graphical? Okay, so yeah, I see. This is possible. You could make a paper prototype for something like people. In my other course, where we are doing exploring non-mouse interaction, so we are exploring communication maybe through brain-computer interaction. So you just think, and then something happens. So you have yes, yeah, but yeah, so we have been using paper prototypes for equipment that is really easy. You maybe just press one button and then it's on, and then it keeps going or something. But if there is a lot of interaction, you need the user to tell you something, and then you say, okay, but what about this, and so on. So there's a lot of things going back and forth. This is even more valuable. And the whole field, human-computer interaction, is really focusing on this conversation between the user and the technology. But it is possible. If you don't have that much interaction, you would maybe want to do a paper prototype just to understand the context. How would the user use it, and so on. Would it be comfortable to have it on your arms? Maybe it's like a registration of how many steps you take or something. But often there are actually systems that support these things. So you can see something on a website then or something. Okay, this is here to the right. This is from where they are explaining Balsamic. Here we have relatively rough, but now these are more detailed. And this is actually a very old one. They had the telephone catalog in Iceland. Okay, so I think this year now is the last year where we will print the telephone catalog. So we have the phone numbers of all Icelanders in one book, but this is the last year. 20 years ago, we started having it online also. And the design was that you inserted all information, like the name of the people that you wanted to get a number for, or a number here, and then you had like a information on how to operate it in the middle. That was the design. And they were saying, well, our design is pretty awkward. Can you help us? So I told them, okay, first of all, we should use the middle, like the best section of the screen for what you're doing. And what are the goals that you have? Okay, you would maybe like to find the name. So you insert the telephone number and you get the name. Or you are inserting a name of people and you get the number. And then they wanted also like yellow pages. And then you could have like the help information here to the left. So this was my main sort of idea. And I have some colors, I have some names on the buttons. So, but it could still be printed out and it could still be tested with users. So, but I wouldn't start here. Maybe I would try to make first a sketch like this. And if this works fine, you would maybe put some colors and some, make it more detailed. Here is also an example from Balsamic. And here people put it on the wall and they discuss. So you could actually do also a data walk on this, asking people to try to understand what should happen and maybe write comments or ideas how to improve it. And this person is actually writing something here. Okay, let me check how much we have. There are 5 minutes left, isn't it? Or 2 minutes. Okay. Maybe we should just stop here and I will give you, because there is a lot of things how to prepare it and so on that we could cover next week. Thank you very much for attending. I really like it. Er það? Ok. Hvað er, ég ætla að stoppa